Linus finally took the cubs out from their cave, willing to create his own pride. The white lion decided to split the gang of beggars in 3 groups: the fighters, the hunters, and the leader. He will train the cubs with the intention to return to Pride Lands. In the jungle, Sharp reminded Zeo what his mission was, reforming the wilds as the warriors of Pride Rock. For that, the new leader had to go find new members, and the blonde lion decided to look for jaguars. As time passed, Ash's condition was getting worse, but the gray lion refused to share what was troubling him with Kichea, who, despite what Ash did to Elvis, was still there to help him. At least she tried, unsuccessfully. The voices in Ash's mind wouldn't let him rest. Ready to leave the jungle, Zeo got joined by Ruby. "If you go, I go," she told him, determined. It didn't please Sharp, who would have liked for Zeo to go on his own. He still thinks the white lioness distracts his son too much, and of course he doesn't like that. Though Sharp couldn't say anything to his son anymore, so he simply let them live together. A long trip through the jungle began. They tried for days to find the jaguars, but the sparkled feline never showed up. Zeo knows that if he returns to the wilds with nobody else but Ruby, Sharp will blow a fuse, Keto will blow a fuse. He really has to find new members. Their trip continued for days and days. They walked in unknown territories, till that day they fell nose to nose with strange creatures. First, Ruby and Zeo hid in some nearby ferns. "What are those?" asked Ruby, rather confused by the look of the feline they'd spotted. With a happy face, Zeo answered, "They are called the hybrids, or the crossbreed. Well, my father told me about them, but I believed they were just legend." The answer only confused Ruby more, which made the white lioness to raise a single brow. Seeing the confused face of his mate, Zeo chuckled and shook his head amused. "They are mixed breed. They are apparently extremely powerful, but they do not live long. Come on, we need to talk to them." Hopping off the fence, Zeo walked over to the crossbreeds, followed by Ruby. But as he was about to reach for them, the 3 hybrids turned to them, ears flat, fangs and claws out. Not a reaction the 2 wilds were expecting. At Ash's lair, the gray lion spent a few hard nights, constantly hearing that voice calling for him. Sitting there, he seemed lost in his own thought. Gaze focused on the tree, yet it seemed like he wasn't really looking at it. Kichea arrived at that moment, once again to bring Ash some food. A single brow raised up on the lioness' feature when she noticed her friend being weird again. When will Ash stop being this dark? Placing the food next to a rock the male was usually sleeping on, she then went to sit down beside him. This move made Ash come back to reality, moving on the left side to look at Kichea briefly. "Don't you understand when I'm speaking?" the gray lion asked in a very cold tone. Surprised, Kichea turned her face to look at the male, and suddenly she felt something hitting her face rather hard. it was Ash's paw, falling to the ground due to the strange with whom she got hit. She then looked up at the cursed lion, who was now staring at her. A violent pain radiated half of her face. A river of tears built in her eyes before flowing down her visage. "You are a pure idiot. You don't understand. You're in danger around me. Leave me alone, or next time, I swear I'm gonna kill you." The way Ash said that, Kira knew he wasn't joking. Too shocked and in pain, the lioness got up and ran away, returning to the home tree. Sharp noticed how she was in pain, sad and terrified. Frowning, he called for her, but she didn't answer nor came to see him. Once Kira's gone, Ash looked back at the tree, as if he was expecting something to happen with it. If nothing happened with the tree, the voices came back to hunt the cursed lion. In need to find out what was that voice, Ash got up and walked in the direction of the river. The same river where a few years before Nash perished. Looking around to see who was speaking, the gray lion finally spotted a lion in the distance. But this lion looked ghostly and seemed to be sitting in the middle of the river. As he approached, Ash could recognize this lion. How was this possible? In the African lands, the cubs' training had started and they all seemed happy to have a role for their group. Only Kichea wasn't glad about what Linus was asking them to do. Linus noticed how the black lioness was staring at him with a deadly gaze. But for now, the white lion decided to ignore. One day he will confront her for sure, but not now. Not before the other cubs would take his side. He has to make them trust him, and quick. Continuing to train them, he watched Heccuba carefully. She was seen as the leader of the group now. The other cub would listen to her more. Heccuba had to be the one Linus needed on his side. Moving over to her, he started to congratulate her for the good work. Then he began to tell her that one day she would be a great lioness, a great leader, and there was no doubt about it. Heccuba was happy to hear that. For once, an adult was congratulating her, was proud of her. The more time passed and the more Heccuba could see a paternal figure in Linus. So the more time passed and the more Heccuba was trusting the white lion, to the point that one night, as the 8 lions were staying in a cave because of a rainstorm, Heccuba snapped at Kichea, who was telling Panya how they couldn't trust Linus.
"How can you say such a thing, Kichea? Linus has been good to us. He saved us. You should be ashamed of your words,"
snapped the leader of the beggars in a mere whisper, for the others to hear nothing. Kichea frowned and replied back,
"I'm not ashamed to feel something you cannot. I know there's something up with him. Then keep believing your crap, but leave the others alone,"
growled Heccuba, before pulling Panya with her, leaving the black lioness all alone. Frowning still, Kichea moved away to another side of the cave. How will she make others believe her? Especially if Heccuba was telling them the opposite.
See